Final score, TNS 1, Wrexham 0. A real disappointing day, not only because after coming into it with such momentum, we didn't replicate that form in this big match. Fair play, TNS, deserving winners. But also because Abby Hinton picked up an injury which looks concerning, and, well, she's a quality player to have added to our injury list. It was frustrating because, yeah, like I said, TNS deserved to win. I don't think anyone could argue with that. But there were certain little instances that could have turned the game dramatically our way. They started out well from the very beginning, though, to be fair. They've got that terrific front three with Tia and Lexi Jones and Chapman, and they really are a threat. And then in midfield, Lewis and Davis are good. And Davis started off the first chance of the match, 5 minutes in, tackling Mary Gibbard as she hesitated in the middle of the pitch and feeding Charlotte Tia. She looked offside to me, but the flag stayed down. And it was good work by Lizzie Craven to come out and save at her feet. There were gaps between the centre-backs that TNS were able to exploit, and that was the first example of it. Within a minute, we'd had our first opportunity, though. Lily Jones putting in a corner from the right-hand side. Idendon got up well, but couldn't get around the ball enough and headed it off target. Soon it was TNS putting pressure on us again, though. It was a nice pass by Jones after Edge had fed her in midfield. Again, picking out Tia, running between the centre-backs into the box. Definitely onside this time. Another brave save by Lizzie Craven, and she picked up a kick for her troubles and had to be treated for quite a long time before play could resume. I'd say TNS, beg your pardon, were on top. Their wing-backs were playing really high up the pitch, and they were causing issues for us. And like I said, that front three was pinning our centre-backs, making our wing-backs just doubt whether they could come forward. We weren't quite finding that snap in our passing, which has been so pleasing in recent weeks. There was a, beg your pardon, another chance when Chapman again managed to do well, tackling Lily Jones, again feeding Tia in. Again, she looked off, but the flag stayed down. And this time, it was a poor finish. Craven was off her line quickly. A characteristic of her play, which you would see often and to good effect, and Tia rushed her shot and put it wide to the right post. Wrexham sporadically had some moments, and actually the best move of the half, maybe the match, came from Wrexham just after the half-hour mark. Lovely passage of play with the ball getting rolled out by Craven. Fuller helping on to Lily Jones on the right. She squeezed the ball down the line. Great interchange of passes then between Cairns and Cara Jones to feed Idendon. And she worked it around the back of the defence for Rosie Hughes. Down the right channel, tightish angle. Well, it was a tight angle to be fair, but she struck her shot powerfully and it had to be clawed behind for a corner by Elliott. But it was only sporadic moments in the first half from Wrexham, really. And then we were dealt another huge blow in the 41st minute. Abby Idendon was trying to nick the ball back, helping out her defence. And I'm not sure if she was kicked or fell awkwardly, but she had to go off. Ava Suckley replaced her. Idendon was in a boot and on crutches by the end of the game. And just as you're thinking, okay, we haven't quite done ourselves justice, but it was a horrible day to play football, I've got to say. Very strong wind, which seems to be behind TNS in the first half. Occasional burst of really strong rain. You just sort of thought, let's get to half-time at 0-0. This game could feel very different in the second half when the teams switch round. But unfortunately, we conceded the only goal of the game in the first minute of added time at the end of the first half. It wasn't a good goal to concede, to be honest. Francis Jones feeding the ball inside Chapman, turning it nicely around the corner. And then Tia running up Fuller, who was excellent Fuller all day, but Tia pulled off a beautiful little trick. She took it to the goal line and then managed to do a little Cruyff turn, and she was inside her. A big chance. She fed it back to the edge 6-yard box. Lexi Jones looked certain to score, but Katie Sharp managed to just put enough pressure on her to make it a bit more difficult, and Craven came lunging out and did well to smother Jones's efforts, but unfortunately she couldn't quite gather it in, and Jones was quick enough to just nick the ball away from Craven and put it into the empty net. Really frustrating goal to concede. So second half, Wrexham coming out, would they be able to make a difference? Well, initially it was TNS who were looking the better. Gibbard, looking to turn, ran into trouble. Beg your pardon. That is absolute. I just misread my notes. Mary Gibbard, I apologise. It was a terrific turn by Jones, who does well then to help on to Chapman. She feeds it through the channels again. And Lexi Jones, who's carried on her run, is driving down the channel. But she puts it wide. Again, Craven, very quick off her line, forced a few poor finishes in one-on-one situations. Wrexham's worry, of course, we're conceding one-on-one situations. But Wrexham came back, and about 6-7 minutes into the half, we had by far our best spell of the game. In fact, it started to look like we were going to get on top of it completely. We had a run of opportunities. Not the easiest ones, but we were really working TNS and we were dominating in midfield. Firstly, Cairns working the ball out to Fuller, who played a lovely little first time help round the corner to play Suckley in on the right. She never looked towards Suckley, but she knew where she was. Suckley drove down the line, put it into the middle, and this was a big moment. Cara Jones, about 8 yards out, hit it first time. Great save with her feet by Elliott, as Jones looked to drive it into the bottom right corner. Within a minute, another opportunity. Suckley with a really good turn, feeding the ball over to the right-hand side to Cara Jones again. She sweeps in across, and this. Oh, man. But if you saw Chelsea on Saturday, you know what's coming next. Cairns gets it. It's a great ball in, and Cairns has a glorious opportunity, and she beats the keeper with her shot. But unfortunately, Rosie Hughes has run goal side of the keeper and she can't get out of the way, and it hits her on the back. There was no other defender on the line. So if it doesn't hit Rosie Hughes, it's a goal. It's just one of those. Cole Palmer and Madweke on the Saturday, and now Cairns and Hughes on the Sunday. And you started thinking then, okay, this is not going our way. There's more pressure though. Lily Jones puts in a free kick into the box. Sharp gets it well, but heads it against her marker and it spins wide for a corner. And from that corner, it's half cleared, but Fuller feeds Gibbard, who can't resist a chance to drill in the shots in 25 yards. Can't keep it down though, and the opportunity is gone. And TNS start to get a bit more control in the game. It was a good burst by Webb, who's outstanding at the back, feeding Frances Jones. She works in tier again, one-on-one, but again it's squandered again. Craven's quickly off a line, and again it's pulled hastily wide of the target. Wrexham looking to come back at the other end, have another opportunity. Again, it's Cara Jones setting up the chances, swinging the ball in to the far post. Suckley makes contact, but the keeper is able to make the save. Wrexham make another change 66 minutes in. Rosie Hughes coming off, Rebecca Pritchard coming on the right, and Cara Jones shifting in one to be up front alongside Ava Suckley. Lily Jones has a good long range effort, but it goes just past the left hand post. But at this point, our momentum, I would argue, starts to really peter out. We make another alteration to give a bit more attacking focus. Grace Morris comes on for her debut. She's scored in the last 3 under-19s games, replacing Cairns. So now we've got her up front with Jones and Suckley playing off them. But we don't get that control of the game back. We don't start creating chances, and in fact it could easily have been another for TNS in the closing stages. Evans feeding Jones in midfield, and then she carried it really well into the box. Liv Fuller battling to try and stick to her, may have fouled her, but Jones decides to carry on, hits a shot from close range. Excellent save by Craven, who stands up well and manages to claw it around the post. And there was another chance as well, when the ball was played forwards by Grace Dunkley. Buckland's a substitute just on one-on-one. Again, really rushes it as Craven hairs out. But it doesn't really matter, because in the last 20-odd minutes, Wrexham don't really make any chances. And like I said, you can't argue that TNS were the stronger side on the day. Just a shame we weren't quite able to get things going as we have done in recent weeks. Well, we can do it to Cardiff on next Sunday, can't we? Let's be honest. We've been looking so good against Cardiff increasingly in the last couple of games. That's a real game to aim at. Anyway, looking at the performances, Lizzie Craven, player of the match for me, for Wrexham. She couldn't help the goal. She nearly grabbed hold of it and made a number of good saves. And also, this is my goalkeeper bias coming out. When I was playing at a rather lower level, I always felt that if you managed to come out in a one-on-one and force a player to put it wide, it was a save because you forced that error. Well, in that case, Craven, she was faced with a number of one-on-ones. Some of them she actually saved, and some she forced a hurried decision from. The best save, probably that one late on in the game from Jones, but she had a very good game, Craven, to be fair. Looking across the back three, Liv Fuller dropped back from her recent position in midfield and played in the centre of the three and did well. Lots of good handling of skillful strikers, looking to just usher them away from goal. Good jockeying, and she used the ball well too. Good performance by Fuller. Sharp did a lot of good things to her right. Pardon me. Really aggressive in the air. First to a number of 50-50s as well. And on the other side of the back three, Phoebe Davis, brilliant to see her getting through 90 minutes. If we're going to do well, we need Davis on the pitch. And again, first time this season, she's managed to get through an entire match. She took a bit of a battering, to be frank. It was a very physical, feisty game. But again, she was solid in defence. The wing-backs, Amber Lightfoot, it was getting crosses in, and it was just a shame she wasn't able to get into some shooting positions. She only had one chance to do her trademark move, cutting it onto her right foot, and TNS read it well and were able to crowd her out. But she again was very energetic up and down the line. On the right hand side, Cara Jones, as you just heard, made a lot of chances, and when she went up front, had an opportunity as well, which was well saved. In the middle of the pitch, I thought Cairns did quite well. I was slightly surprised when she came off. She was carrying the ball forwards well. She had a nice touch. Nice to play in a decent, solid pitch rather than the muddy affair we were on last week, and used the ball well and was driving forwards well. Lily Jones was not getting into those attacking positions, or should I say, not being given the ball in those attacking positions as often as she would have liked, but again was typically rolling her sleeves up. Derby match, battling away. And Mary Gibbard, again, in that more withdrawn role, like she was last week, kept the ball moving well. But a couple of times when she's a little hesitant and got caught out, but again, good energy and good legs throughout the match. Up front, I was a little surprised Hughes came off too, and that she was making a lot of good runs. She looks like a player with a bit of cutting edge about her in and around the box, and she was troubling the centre-backs, especially Matilda Edge, their left side, the centre-back, was trying to bring the ball out a lot, and Hughes was giving her problems, also giving her problems when the ball was knocked long. But yeah, she couldn't in the end get the opportunity. Very unlucky to block that shot from Cairns on the line, mind. It was really harsh. And alongside her, of course, Indon looked good and then horribly got injured. Let's hope it's not too serious. Ava Suckley replaced her, and she was full of energy. She was shifting around from up front to being used at the front end of midfield, and she was, as ever, very competitive and battling and fighting for loose balls. Ended up getting booked at the end of the match, which I thought was a slightly harsh decision. But full of commitment and energy as always. Rebecca Pritchard came on the right, didn't get played in all that much. That was roughly the point where the game changed, and so she wasn't able to get into it as much. And Grace Morris coming on for a debut. Now she again came on at the wrong time in the game. We weren't getting much of anything up to her. She took a heavy knock at the end of the game, which actually, I know this sounds stupid, I thought was rather promising in a weird sort of way, because the ball's driven towards her. She's not that big. She's got a big centre-back slamming into the back of her. It was a difficult ball to take, so it bounced up like around high chest height, and it would have been very easy for her to sort of step out of the way and let the centre-back have it. When she stood her ground, she took the ball well, and she got flattened as a result. But I liked that. I just liked that. She wasn't like a... I don't know why this game in the commentary made me use cricket metaphors as well, but here we go again. She's not like a number 11 stepping away when the fast bowler comes in, more worried about protecting herself than the stumps. She would take that blow, even though the player was much, much bigger than her. She was brave in that regard, and I just thought, okay, for a young player breaking into the side, if you're willing to take that side of the game on this early on in your career, that's a promising sign. But yeah, disappointing for Wrexham. The 5-winning match run comes to an end. That was all the right words, weren't necessarily in the right order. And so we go again. Tough game, of course, the toughest of games away to Cardiff. But like I said, the last 2 times we've been better than them. We need to just get back to that sort of level. With a final score of TNS 1, Wrexham 0, I'm Mark Griffiths from Wrexham AFC.